parade and pageantry greeted President Trump in Beijing before he and China's President Xi settled in for closed-door talks in an effort to stabilize relations between the world's superpowers. Xi telling Trump a good China-U.S. relationship is important to the world, and Trump touting his friendship with the Chinese leader.
Whenever we had a problem, people don't know, whenever we had a problem, we worked that out very quickly. We're going to have a fantastic future together.
But once the doors closed, Xi delivered a stark warning over Taiwan, the self-governing island. Xi claims it is a Chinese territory, making clear this is the most important issue to China. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying the countries will have clashes and conflicts if the topic isn't handled properly. But for decades, the U.S. has given Taiwan political and military support to aid in the country's democracy, but stopping short of calling for independence. In an exclusive interview with NBC's Tom Yamas, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says that policy is not changing.
We always respond by saying anything that would compel or force a change in what we have now would be problematic. And we would certainly, our policies on that have not changed.
On Capitol Hill, lawmakers voiced support for Taiwan.
The bottom line is we are committed to their defense. We have told the Chinese do not attack them. I hope that remains clear after President Trump's trip over there.
I think that we have to continue the posture that we have today, and I think any step away from that posture would be a mistake.
The American readout of the meeting did not mention Taiwan, but focused on the war in Iran. China has close ties to Iran and buys much of its oil from them. President Trump tells Fox News Xi is ready to help end hostilities.
He would like to see a deal made. And he did offer, he said, if I can be of any help at all, I would like to be of help.
And joining us now to discuss all of this is Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland, representing Washington's 10th District. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here tonight.
Absolutely. There's a lot to unpack, but we'll start here with the summit. President Trump says China's president offered to help broker a deal with Iran and promised that China would not provide military equipment to Iran. So do you trust China to play a constructive role here?
Well, I'm not sure I trust that President Trump is telling the truth, because his own Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, said today, and I quote, "We're not asking for China's help. We don't need their help." And so I think one of the challenges that we have is that Trump will say one thing, his Secretary of State will say another thing, and we're not quite sure what to believe. But I will say this. I mean, it is important for the U.S. to have, a good relationship with China, understanding the defense risks they present. Washington State is the most trade-dependent state in the entire nation, and we depend on trade with all of our international partners. But I think with regard to Iran and China's role, it is just hard to always verify what is truth and what is not with this president, because he has his own cabinet members contradicting him.
And Marilyn, on that note, Trump also pointed out China depends heavily on Iranian oil and wants the Strait of Hormuz to stay open. So how does that leverage, does that actually mean that China might have leverage over Iran right now?
I mean, again, it is hard to say. I believe that, this war that the American people did not want, the president did not make the case to the American people like a president usually does if we're going to commit troops to a region. And right now we have a despot that was replaced by someone who's more extreme and younger. We have the Strait of Hormuz that is closed, which is choking the energy and oil supply. On top of that, it's also hurting the access to fertilizer. And so, again, it's hard to determine what is fact and what is fiction with this administration. The other thing as well is that if we open the Strait of Hormuz tomorrow, it doesn't mean all of a sudden energy just starts flowing. And so I would say that anytime this president makes a claim about an international relationship, always check and make sure it is true. And then also look for whether or not his own cabinet is contradicting what he's saying.
So how concerned are you that this conflict is already having a ripple effect on Washington's economy? It sounds like very concerned.
Oh, very much so. I mean, we talk about the fact that when this president first took office, he made two promises to the American people. He said no more wars, and he said he would drive down the cost of living. And as we're finding out in Washington State every day and across the country, that opposite is happening. This war has been in place for 75 days. Gas in Washington State is up $1 a gallon from when this happened. In addition to that, the cost of food continues to go up. The cost of energy continues to go up. We are not building more housing. And so the whole conversation about the cost of living going down, it was a complete lie by this president. The good news is that the Democrats are working on a plan. The plan starts with taking back the House majority, and then we've rolled out an agenda called the American Promise about all the things we plan to address that affect the American people and their pocketbooks.
And something that most likely is driving this right now for you, of what you just mentioned, is what constituents are saying in your district. So what are you hearing about the cost of, our economy and the inflation and gas prices right now?
No, I mean, I'm hearing it from everyone. And, I remind folks that I represent the 10th Congressional District of Washington State. So it is diverse in every possible sense of the word. It is urban, it is rural, it is suburban. I talk to veterans, I talk to working families, I talk to senior citizens, and I even have had some roundtables with small businesses. And they are all talking about one thing: uncertainty, instability, and the rising cost of living. And I remind folks that, the prices of energy have a ripple effect on every single thing that we need as consumers at home and as small businesses. And so again, this war is only driving up prices. We have already tragically lost 13 U.S. service members. We have no end date to this war, and it needs to end now.
And Congresswoman Strickland, would you consider temporarily stopping the gas tax or voting for that in Washington state to maybe provide some relief at the pump for constituents?
So I do know that the president has talked about a gas tax holiday at the federal level. And I'm not even sure that Republicans in his own party think that's a good idea. And so I tell folks that, let's do what we can to provide relief to the American consumer. We think about housing. We think about the cost of childcare. We think about the cost of energy. All those things have a direct impact on people's wallets. And so we have to do whatever we can. But if Trump is talking about a federal holiday for gas tax, that's something that he has to sell to his own party first.
And one more question, if I can. Do you believe the administration has been transparent enough? And if not, what would you like to see more information about with the potential costs of this conflict?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that this administration has not done well across the board is be transparent. Transparent about the Epstein files, transparent about what ICE agents have been doing, and then transparent about this war. Typically, when a U.S. president has to commit troops to a war, he or she will go on television in prime time and make the case to the American people, make the case to Congress, make the case to our allies. This never happened. Congress has the authority to declare, to go to war, and that congressional authority has been completely bypassed. So lack of transparency, sadly, is one of the hallmarks of this administration. So we're trying very hard to get information, but it's always conflicting. The president says one thing, his cabinet members say another, and it's just so hard to understand what to believe. And I want to talk about why this is important, regardless of your political affiliation. This erodes trust in government, an entity that is supposed to help you get your basic needs met. And right now, this administration and the GOP are failing miserably.
Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland, we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. We know you're very busy. We appreciate your insight right here on King 5.
Thank you for having me.